All right. So, hello, good evening, everyone. I just want to share with you a good news in managing diabetes. So, by the way, my name is Paul. I'm from Philippines, and going back to managing diabetes, me myself is a patient with diabetes, and having said that, it's important for me that my sugar or the glucose is always in the correct range or the target range. And for us to make sure that we're always in the target range, we definitely need something that can measure our glucose. And having said that, measuring glucose in a traditional way, which is the finger pricking or the self blood monitoring, using the strip and needles, is quite difficult, especially for those who have very low pain tolerance. And with that, it's quite challenging for me to follow the recommendation of doing the finger pricking according to ADA, American Diabetes Association, which is 10 to 12 times per day. In fact, doing one or two times per day, it's quite difficult because it's number one, it's really painful. Second is, before you get a specific result using a blood glucose monitoring or the finger pricking, you have to prepare a lot of things, and you need to stop what you're really doing. And in my case, because I'm working, and most of the time, the only rest that I can do is to go to bathroom and sleep. So following the recommendation to really get what is really happening to my system, to my blood glucose, it's challenging. So what I did is I use a continuous glucose monitoring, which is now readily available here in the Philippines. So what continuous glucose monitoring do is it helps you to see the trends and pattern of your glucose for 24 hours for up to 15 days. So this type of glucose monitoring helped me to really see which specific time, most of the time, that I'm having a very bad glucose or having a variabilities, or what we call the hyper and hypoglycemia episode, the spikes and dips of the sugar. And also it gives me a percentage of time that I'm within the target range or above or below range. And base high Filipina Sadia 9426, and based in the study, what you want to achieve is to have a 70%. Most of the time your glucose is in the range. So what is the international consensus talk about or recommended to achieve this target range? The range should be 70 milligram to 180 milligram per deciliter, and in that range you want 70% of the time you're in that rate, or if you convert it to hours, it's about 16 hours plus. You should be in that range. Hello, Eduardo Velasco R1Z. So, having said that, using a continuous glucose monitoring, not only giving you that very valuable data, it also helped me to check my sugar anytime, anywhere. I just scan the sensor with the reader, and it gives me the current glucose result, the past 8 hours, as well as the trend arrow, right? So it does not end there, right? Because if you really want to achieve, if I really want to achieve my glucose goal, like very good HbA1c, no hypoglycemia episode, less variability. By the way, that's the triangle of care, according to ADA and International Consensus of Diabetes. So if I really want to achieve that, I need a tool that can help me to know every minute, every hour, or in a day if I'm hitting those target range. All right. So with that, there are also there are clinical proven studies that shows that if you achieve a 70% target range, what I'm telling you, the 70 to 180 milligram per deciliter, there is a corresponding HbA1c result that expected to have, right? So if you're always, most of the time, 70% or 16 hours plus, you're in that range, most probably your HbA1c is 6.5 or 6.7 or 7% if you convert it to whole number, right? And according to that study, if you're increasing the spend time of in that target range, like you every 10% additional target range, there is a reduction of HbA1c, which is good, right? So that you or me as a patient, I will have more control in managing my diabetes by only in that specific goal of achieving that range. And you will be overwhelmed, or you will be very happy that using a CGM, there's a lot of data that you can check or use to make sure that you're achieving those range, such as the AGP report. You can also see there the glucose management indicator. This is what the doctor also called the approximate A1C result. So now there are more most common question: how much is it? Definitely, it will not be the same price of just doing a finger pricking, right? Hello, what's that? Revelry Exkira. Yes, I'm in the car. Inside the car. I'm in the road. I'm waiting for my wife. She's in the hotel, so she's a little bit busy, so that's why I'm here. And I don't want to waste my time, just sitting here. Oh, Kira. Okay, Kira. How are you, Kira? Yeah. So going back to the discussion, Kira. I'm sharing about glucose monitoring because I'm a diabetic person, and for sure, someone who have diabetes, right, or a family member who have diabetes, and it's really important for us to really, have a tool that validates the management in diabetes, or a tool that tells you that, oops, you have too much to eat, you have to stop, right? Oops, your sugar is going down, especially at night or midnight, you have to wake up and eat something. Because true story to be told, I have a family member who died. We thought it's having a bad dream, and she didn't wake up, but when the doctor analyzed it, um, they saw, or the data or the analyzation from that scenario is, it's not because of a really bad dream or other disease. It's because uh, she had a very low glucose, the reason why he didn't wake up. Yeah. Yeah. Kira, yeah, I know Tagalog words. Yeah, I can speak Tagalog as well, but I'm using, a universal language so that everyone can understand. Are you a Filipina? Are you a Filipina, Kira? Yeah, are you a Filipina? Oh yeah, okay. Is that like a penguin listening to music? Right. Okay. So yeah, going back to the discussion, right? So it's really important that we monitor our glucose. Okay, so oh, you live in the Philippines, so you might probably a Filipina, right? Okay, so yeah, so connecting to our discussion, as I mentioned, especially here in the Philippines, diabetes, I think, if not number one, it might be number two, the number one reason why, people is experiencing micro and macrovascular complication. So those micro and macrovascular complication is like having stroke or kidney failure, reason for blurring vision, or amputated arm, or parts of the body because of having glucose. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You can go, Ira. Really appreciate you. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, going to our discussion, it's really important that again, managing diabetes with the right tool can help us to achieve our goal, and making sure that the sugar, we have control in our diabetes, right? So with the use of CGM, you can actually see the trends and pattern. Your doctor will definitely know where to adjust the medication, where you will also adjust your eating habits. You will be reminded that you have to stop eating, because it will definitely alarm if you hit that range of more than 180. Again, just to share with you, talking about target range, um, target range depends also. It's very individualized. It depends in the age of the patient, also the condition of of the patient. So let's say example, a patient with diabetes who is pregnant, right? Or a GDM patient, a pregnant patient who have a high glucose. That's what they call GDM, or gestational diabetes mellitus. So when they set the target range for those um, um, type of patient, they are very stringent or strict, right? They put 64 milligram per 240 milligram per deciliter, because they don't want the sugar to make it to go too high, more than 140, or too low, more than 64 milligram per deciliter. And mind you, if a doctor is managing a GDM patient, most of the answer that I get is they are more worried of the patient having a high glucose compared to having low glucose. Though, again, hypo and hyper are very, you know, dangerous. However, for GDM patient, having long term of hyperglycemia episode can also damage, or become more dangerous to their baby, or to the patient who have high glucose, or the mother. So that's one thing to consider for GDM patient. But for elderly like me, or older than me, younger than me, they are a universal target range that's set by the international consensus of 70 to 180 milligram per deciliter. And again, what you really want is to have more than 70% most of the time to that range. Okay? Yeah, so here in the Philippines, there's a lot of CGM already. But for me, the number one CGM that you can actually trust and use, that is available here in the Philippines, actually the pioneer for CGM, is Freestyle Libre. Right? The Freestyle Libre currently now is Freestyle Libre 2 Plus sensor and Freestyle Libre 2 reader. is the number one continuous glucose monitoring worldwide, right? So with this type of continuous glucose monitoring, you get a reader and a sensor. And you know what's really good about having the reader compared to other CGM that they use cell phone is because the reader can actually accommodate not only the sensor but also the strips. And using this reader, the behavior of patients can actually improve in terms of frequency of checking, because this is a type of CGM that you really need to hold the reader and scan the sensor to get those reading. However, it is also considered this Freestyle Libre as a real-time glucose monitoring, because it will tell you if you're having a high glucose or low glucose result, right? So that you can again have a good impact or behavior to the patient, and they will actually check their glucose, right? So that they know what is the result. So what else is good about this CG Freestyle Libre? What stand up, what is good about this CGM compared to other CGM is this particular CGM gives you a more accurate reading. As I have mentioned a while ago, right? A type of iCGM or integrated scan CGM is already integrated or combined with a insulin pump. So you cannot use any CGM if it's not approved for insulin pump, right? Because if you use that, it will give you a false report, and each time that the CGM captured the high glucose in the interstitial fluid, the insulin pump will diffuse insulin to the patient's body, and it might cause a very hypoglycemia episode if the reading is not accurate. So definitely, if we're talking about accuracy and safety and being precise to the result, Freestyle Libre is still the number one. And in fact, actually get the reading every minute, right? So other CGM, they get every 5 minutes, every 15 minutes, which is, it takes too long to give you a real time result. So therefore, in terms of acting it immediately, the other CGM will give you a long wait compared to the Freestyle Libre, which is, every minute the sensor gets the updated glucose from the interstitial fluid. All right, so now talking about cost here in the Philippines, definitely if you're comparing it to a traditional blood glucose monitoring, the painful one, the hassle tool to get glucose, it is much the value, in terms of amount, it's quite really different. Yeah, but in terms of the value that contributes, in terms of the result, not only just getting the glucose, but also the result in your laboratory, like HbA1c, long-term result like prevention of complication, definitely Freestyle Libre will stand off, and it will not be it cannot be compared for the amount that you will invest to prevent those complications, in contrast of just doing finger pricking, and in the long term, because of non-compliance and very lack of data, complication and hospitalization is much more expensive compare of just using a CGM, right? So you have to really decide or choose a better one. You want to have a prevention, you feel good for a long time, for long term, or you feel good, you're not feeling good because you're doing finger pricking, and in the long run, the result will not be really good as expected, because the date, again, number one, the data is not enough. Number two, it's really painful, and just doing it once a day, it's impossible for those patients who have very low pain tolerance, right? Okay, so hello for the viewers in my YouTube live. I'm just doing sharing or experience about as a patients with diabetes, and what great tools that you can use in terms of managing diabetes, or validating if your the medication is working perfectly, or it makes your condition worse, right? So I think that's it for now. If you have any questions, or if you want to comment, or even correct me if I'm wrong, you can just comment down below, and I'll be happy to answer that in the following live. So the next live, I think I'll be talking about um, some other medications that usually patients with diabetes take. That will be a very broad discussion, because we're going to talk about oral medications, and some injectables, right? Okay, so thank you very much, guys, for watching, and that's it for now.